The day Asher crowned the woman he'd once loved but could never have, his so-called white moonlight, as his empress, I went from being his legitimate wife to just another nameless face in the palace. My son, once the rightful heir, was suddenly just a concubine's child. I grew up in the desert, never really cared about power or titles. But what I couldn't accept was how easily he dismissed our son. So when Asher declared Queen Alicia's unborn child the crown prince, I packed our things and left Chang'an with Damien without a second thought. For 3 days after the crowning, I avoided Asher and never stepped foot outside Mingwei Palace. I worried Damien would see the strange looks others gave him and feel the hurt I couldn't protect him from. On the 4th day, Asher finally showed up. "Violet," he said, his voice low as he gently reached for my hand. "I made Alicia empress for the sake of the kingdom. There's nothing between us. You have to believe me." His eyes were sharper than I remembered, but underneath, I could still see traces of the boy who used to look at me like I was his whole world. My heart wavered, just a bit. Still, I gently pulled my hand away. "Who you make empress is your business," I said evenly. "I just want to know, where does that leave Damien?" I hadn't expected such a simple question to push him over the edge. Gone was the careful tenderness from just moments ago. Instead, his eyes now burned with frustration. "Damien is my son. How can you accuse me of casting him aside? Are you trying to make me out to be heartless?" Watching him lose his temper, my heart sank. Back when we promised our lives to each other, Asher had sworn on his life he'd never betray me. I still remember standing for 3 days straight in the palace's freezing dungeon, guarding that stolen battle map, because he asked me to. Because I believed he never would. But now it seemed, no matter all the years we leaned on each other, fought by each other's side, it could never compete with power or ambition. Asher. I barely spoke his name when a palace maid rushed in, panic written all over her face. "Your Majesty, something's wrong. Her Majesty just fainted." I recognized her, Alicia's personal maid. She'd once taken quite a few chances to put me in my place before. Before I could say a word, Asher shot up and rushed toward Fenghuan Hall, not even glancing back. I let out a breath, half a laugh, bitter and tired. The maid smirked. "Her Majesty wanted me to pass you a message," she said smugly. "You may have supported His Majesty for many years, and that's fine. But if you think that gives you a right to what's not yours, don't say you weren't warned." Staring at the stone walls around me, I realized with a clarity I'd never felt before. This place was nothing but a cage. And for the first time, I seriously thought of leaving for good. During the days Asher didn't come near Minwei Palace, Damien clung close to me. "Mother, has father stopped watching us?" he asked quietly, his voice unsure. I smiled, brushing his cheek with my fingers. "Of course not. He's just busy running the country, that's all." When I heard myself say it, I paused. I wasn't sure if I meant it for him, or just needed to hear it myself. "Damien," I said softly, "would you like to see where I grew up?" He looked up at me, eyes flashing with worry, maybe sensing something from my tone. "Are we coming back?" I couldn't answer him right away. It had been over 10 years since I left the vast desert and its clear, endless moonlit skies, and now I missed it more than I ever thought I would. But despite everything, when I thought of Asher, something in me still refused to let go. "We'll wait," I whispered. "Let's wait until your father truly doesn't need us anymore. Then we'll go." The weather was perfect that day, and for the first time, I took Damien out of Mingyu Palace. "Mother, let's fly our kite in the garden." His cheerful voice swept away some of the gloom in my heart. The kite landed high in the branches of a phoenix tree. I lifted my skirt and stretched to reach it, then paused, hearing a familiar voice from the other side of the low wall. "Violet's status is low, but Damien is still my child, so..." I never thought the word low would come from Asher's mouth about me. My hand tightened around the kite string. Your Majesty, a concubine's title isn't the problem, but with a firstborn son, I can't help but feel uneasy. I worry she'll get ideas beyond her place. The kite crumpled in my grip. So did something inside me. I had met Asher when he was still a powerless prince, often bullied and left to fend for himself. I was just a servant girl then, the lowest of the low, and yet I gave him everything, held up years of peace in that palace. 5 years ago, I took him out of the imperial city. 5 years later, I helped him to the throne. And all of that, in the end, was worth no more than the words, low status. The frost in my heart started to melt. Not from warmth, but from some deep, dull ache. Then grant her a Guirin title, he added casually. I shut my eyes and let go of the kite. It was the one Asher had once made for Damien himself. No need to keep it anymore. Back in Mingyu Palace, I drank alone. Blurred with wine, I saw Asher's silhouette by the door and hated myself for still longing. What are you doing here? My voice came up tired and unfocused. I wished I didn't still care, yet this time, he didn't vanish like a ghost. Violet, I owe you an apology. Then, he stepped forward and kissed me. I didn't stop him. Tears mixed with the taste of wine and regret. I wanted to wrap my arms around him. But Asher quickly drove me back into the cold again. Violet, where's the jade bracelet my mother left behind? The flush hadn't even faded from my face when his words struck. My eyes were still damp. You already gave that to me. For the first time in years, I met his eyes stubbornly. He looked away, guilt flickering in his gaze. It's a fine piece of calming jade. The empress is pregnant. She needs it more. I had to dig deep to keep my voice steady. Asher, that was your gift to me. I don't want to give it away. He slowly let go of my hand and went quiet for a long moment. I remember, you never used to be so petty. I laughed, and the tears just fell harder. It wasn't the flawed bracelet I was refusing to let go of. It was the love he once gave freely, without hesitation. After he left, I drank myself numb. The moon outside was pale and blurry, just like my mood. But before I could leave everything behind, Damien fell seriously ill. His little body shook under layers of blankets, burning with fever. Sleepless nights piled up. I wished I could take his pain myself. Physicians came and went, each prescription worse than the last. My position in the palace was too precarious. I didn't even know who I could turn to for help. Violet, the boy can't wait any longer. Only the snow elixir can save him now. Damien's all I have. He means everything to me. I'd go through fire for him. By the time I knelt outside the queen's palace, I already knew I had fallen right into her trap. Under that blazing sun, I stayed on my knees for 3 whole hours. Finally, as the sun dipped low, an attendant came to bring me in. Queen Alicia was lounging on her couch. I knelt down before her, pulled out the jade bracelet from inside my robes, and offered it with both hands. A lowly servant like me shouldn't have kept something that once belonged to His Majesty, I said softly, trying to keep my voice calm. Not a flicker of resistance showed on my face. Compared to Damien's life, the frigid and empty Mingyu Palace didn't matter. So that's what it was, just this flawed old bracelet? You held on to it like some treasure, but to me, it's worthless. Queen Alicia scoffed, letting the bracelet slip from her fingers. It hit the floor and shattered into pieces. Just like everything Asher and I had shared. Broken, beyond repair. Gone, just like that. Violet, what do feelings even mean? If you're smart, you'll stay tucked away in your little corner of this palace. Raise your son quietly, and maybe I'll let you be. Resist, and don't blame me for what comes next. I bowed low, my forehead to the floor. I understand, Your Majesty. With the elixir finally in hand, I ran back to Mingyu Palace on trembling legs. After Damien took it, He started looking better already. Mother, did I do something wrong? Is that why father still won't come see me? All I could feel was the weight of bitterness pressing down on my chest. It's not your fault. Your father. He forgot about me. And he forgot about the one I love most, Damien. Maybe I sounded too sad. After that, Damien rarely mentioned him again. I desperately wanted to leave the palace, to get us away. But seeing Asher had turned into an impossible task. Mid-Autumn Festival was coming up, Damien's birthday. I asked him what he wanted most. He hesitated and whispered, "Can I see father just once?" I made Asher's favorite pastries by hand, tried several times to visit, but got turned away every time. Eunuch Charlie, could you please remind His Majesty? The day after tomorrow is Damien's birthday. Even if His Majesty could just drop by for a while. I handed Charlie a gold ring. He smiled big and nodded like always. Walking back, I kept rubbing the empty spot on my finger. That ring was one of the few things Asher had made for me himself. A thin token of love I once held so dear. Now, it didn't mean a thing anymore. On the day itself, Damien and I waited from morning till twilight. The dishes and cakes on the table had long gone cold. Asher never came. Damien looked up at me, face small and sad. Father's not coming, is he? I didn't know what to say. Outside the wall, fireworks exploded, loud and brilliant. Just like the Chang'an I once dreamed of. Like the Asher I used to know. Blinking back my thoughts, I whispered, "Damien, come. I'm taking you to see your father. This might be the last time you ever do." The Imperial Garden was nothing like Mingyue Palace. It was loud, bustling, full of life. Under the octagonal pavilion, Asha was gripping Queen Alicia's hand tightly. Colorful fireworks lit up the pond below, as if celebrating a perfect happy couple. Damien waved excitedly. "Father!" Asher's expression turned dark in an instant. "There's an assassin! Protect His Majesty!" Queen Alicia's alarmed cry cut through the night, right as a black arrow tore through the air toward Damien. The light in Damien's eyes vanished, replaced by pure panic. "Mother, father doesn't like me, does he? He wants me dead, right?" Queen Alicia's belly was too swollen to hide now, and Damien wasn't so little anymore. He could sense something was wrong. "Asher, are you out of your mind? Why would you bring Damien here out of nowhere? Do you even realize today's the family banquet?" So I was never considered family to him. Asher's face shifted slightly, some regret flickering there. "Is Damien all right? I didn't mean, I was just—" Before he could finish, one of the maids by the queen came running over, pale with panic. "It's bad. Her Majesty is bleeding." Asher's gaze snapped to mine, remorse morphing into fury. "The queen's done nothing to you, and you'd pull a stunt like this? If anything happens to her, I swear, you'll pay for what you've done." Damien's voice wavered with fear, trembling into tears. "It's all my fault, father. Please don't yell at mother." But Asher had no warmth left in his eyes. He looked at Damien like he was nothing, then kicked him hard. "You and your mother are both filth. Get back to Mingyu Palace, now." "Asher." My voice cracked. I couldn't stop myself. I slapped him. "You've lost your mind, woman." I felt blood at the back of my throat, but I was already shouting back. "No, you're the mad one. Damien's your son, your own flesh and blood, and you tried to kill him. How do I know he's even mine?" Silence. We both froze. And Damien looked up at me and asked, "He's not going to call me his son anymore, is he?" Back in the water dungeon that year, I was already pregnant with Damien. I held on for 3 days and nights. After giving birth, I could never have another child again. I treated Damien, our only child, as the most precious treasure, but turns out, that was just me fooling myself. Asher turned and walked away, like everything between us had already passed the point of no return. I left with Damien, thinking maybe it was time to let everything go. But Queen Alicia clearly had no intention of letting me off that easily. Violet, sometimes I have to admit, You've got some luck. If you hadn't snagged His Majesty early on and popped out a kid, you think you would have even made it into the palace? My mind was a blur. I didn't quite get what she was getting at. The Emperor hates being reminded of those rough years. And yet, your low-born past, it's like a stain slapped right on his name. We grew up together, His Majesty and I. Sure, I backed out of the marriage for power. So what? In the end, he still needs the Chancellor's house to keep things steady. Crushing you is as easy as squashing a bug. Her words kept coming, each heavier than the last, hitting me like thunder in my head. I warned you. You just don't know your place. So today, just a little punishment. Maybe it'll teach you something. On cue, one of her maids yanked me forward and shoved me into the water. Queen Alicia pressed her foot on my head. Her face twisted into a grotesque smile for the murky surface. Heard you're afraid of water? Bet you were wishing for His Majesty to come save you, just like back then in the dungeon, huh? Damien ran over, sobbing, trying to push past them, but a maid threw him aside like he was nothing. I'm only here today because His Majesty asked me to be. It's time you got a taste of what happens when someone like you forgets her place. I'm sorry. I went to see Father. I was wrong. Please, Your Majesty, please spare my mother. Damien knelt again and again, his little forehead red, raw, and bleeding. Queen Alicia looked beyond pleased with herself, only pulling back when I was barely conscious. His Majesty's already set your title. You're a mere Chengzai now. From here on, life in this palace, you'll just have to survive it the best you can. I had an old illness that couldn't handle the cold, and after today's mess, of course I came down with a fever. Damien had been worrying about me, day and night, and it showed. His little face had grown thinner. Asher sent a few messages through others, probably waiting for me to give in. For the past 10 years, I'd always given in, no matter what. But now I was too weak even to stand, let alone see him. So, Asher stopped coming. Mingyue Palace felt more like a cold, abandoned corner of the world. Damien curled up in my arms, small and quiet. Mother, when are we leaving this place? The servants here always adjusted their loyalties with the wind. Damien had been through more than a child should these past few days. I wasn't fully recovered, but I couldn't wait any longer. Damien, once we leave, you might never see your father again. He looked torn for a moment. It's fine. If Father doesn't want you and me, then we don't need him either. All right, I whispered, and just like that, I let go of everything. The day we left the palace, I gave one last look at Mingyue Palace, where we'd stayed these past months. There weren't many memories, so I didn't feel much attachment. The fire roared, fanned by the evening wind. Servants ran around, shouting in panic. Fire! Mingyue Palace is on fire! I had thought about leaving a letter for Asher, but in the end, I didn't. Disappearing from this place entirely, with Damien, was probably the cleanest break for both of us. As the flames reached up through the smoky clouds to lick at the moon, I walked away with Damien without looking back. At that very hour, Asher jolted awake from his sleep, fingers tingling, his heart pounding with a strange ache. Your Majesty, is something wrong? Queen Alicia was still as gentle and kind as ever, but her presence only made Asher more irritated. I'm going for a walk. Though the night was quiet, it felt far from peaceful. Hurried footsteps echoed as palace workers knelt to greet Asher. What's all this rush in the middle of the night? Replying to Your Majesty, there's a fire at Mingyue Palace. It's mostly gone now, barely a few beams left, and the people inside may not have made it. Asher staggered back a step, then suddenly took off toward Mingyue Palace. Where are the palace guards for tonight? All of them! Get out here now! The servants dropped to their knees, heads down. No one dared meet his eyes, burning red with rage. If you can't bring me Violet and Damien, then you can all go die with them. The terrified palace workers backed away. The flames had been put out, leaving only ashes and debris behind, nothing more. I sat in a carriage heading back to the desert with Damien, watching the vast city of Chang'an shrink into just a tiny dot in the distance. Damien asked me softly, "No one will bully us ever again, right?" I nodded with a smile. I felt more free than I had in years. Mother will take you to fly hawks and sit by bonfires under the stars. Life from now on will be so much better. At last, Damien smiled wide and bright. Hope made the past feel lighter, and with the sun shining so brightly today, there was no reason tomorrow wouldn't be even better. Back in Chang'an, Asher had the entire palace turned upside down. The screams of tortured servants echoed over the walls. "Two people, very much alive. How did they just disappear into thin air? Useless idiots, keep looking." After Asher roared in fury, he destroyed everything in the study. Queen Alicia came in carrying a bowl of ginseng soup, only for a hardcover book to smash against the wooden door right in front of her. "Get out! All of you!" His voice, sharp and raw with rage, made her flinch. She instinctively stepped back, then turned, eyes dark and unreadable. "Go find 2 burnt corpses that look close enough. Toss them in. Maybe that'll finally make His Majesty give up." As Asher wept over the charred bodies, thinking they were mine and Damien's, I was miles away at the border, bartering for camels we'd need for trade. We'd run out of palace silver, so I pawned off the only painting I had left in my pack, a priceless piece by a renowned artist, showing a desert that didn't really exist. Asher had gifted it to me during those days I missed home the most. But I'd made it back to the true desert now, and I no longer needed the dream. "Damien, Mama's going to get us a whole herd. Let's settle here under the open sky. All right? As long as I have Mama, I don't care where we are." His words were simple, but his star-bright eyes said so much more. Back in the palace, on the 5th day after my departure, chaos reigned. A eunuch dropped to his knees in a panic inside the Phoenix Hall. "Your Majesty, His Majesty has locked himself in the Moonlight Palace for 2 days now. Not a sip of water. He won't last like this. You useless things. That's how you serve the Emperor?" Queen Alicia struggled to keep the anger off her face. She rested her hand on her swelling belly. "Get me a bowl of bird's nest soup." When the scorched doors to Moonlight Palace creaked open, Asher was lying lifeless on the icy stone floor. Queen Alicia tightened her fists, then approached gently. "Your Majesty, she's gone. Why do this to yourself?" Asher turned, eyes inflamed red. "Tell me, it was you, wasn't it? You forced Violet to her death." "You? What are you saying?" A flicker of panic passed through her, and her gaze began to dart. Asher rose, his stare like storm clouds, and grabbed her throat in one swift move. "You really think I don't know? Why did you come back after we called off the marriage?" "Please, Your Majesty, I'm carrying your child." "My child?" Suddenly, memories crashed down, mid-autumn when Violet slapped him across the face. That rage came flooding back. "And what about Damien? Isn't he my son too? Did you ever show him mercy?" He let go, his hand falling away from her throat. "Send out the decree. I'm stripping her of the title Empress." "You've lost your mind, Asher!" Her desperate scream overlapped with Violet's broken voice that day, eyes full of disappointment, walking away. Asher closed his eyes, pain tearing through like a blade. "You're right. I went mad the day I chose the crown over Violet and Damien." By the 10th day from our departure, Asher buried us in the rear garden and spent every day drunk by my grave. He didn't have much left for me, just a few scattered trinkets. Oh, worthless things. He was gripping a wooden hairpin, the very one he carved himself for my 18th birthday. "Sister, when I make something of myself one day, I'll find the rarest treasures in the world just so you can wear them." Your promises still echo in my ears, but you're long gone now. Asher raised his hand and gently brushed his fingers against my tombstone. The next moment, he suddenly kicked a nearby rock, rage overtaking him. Why couldn't you just wait for me a little longer? Why did you never believe that I only ever used the Empress for power? Why did you have to leave me all alone? After venting for a while, he staggered back to his feet. Charlie approached to steady him, but Asher's eyes caught on the ring on his hand. Engraved with a crescent moon, that was the token of Hayes and Violet's marriage. Your Majesty, spare me. Charlie tried to hide his hand, but Asher kicked him to the ground. So that's why Violet never came to see me. It was you vermin standing in the way. His fury blazed, yet a sliver of relief slipped into his chest. It wasn't that Violet didn't want to see him. It was Her Majesty. She didn't want you seeing Violet. Ordered me to stop her. Asher's eyes went blood red as he stormed toward the Empress's quarters. Since declaring he'd strip her of her title, he hadn't seen her. I thought your Majesty had truly cast me and our child aside, Queen Alicia said softly, pitifully. But Asher slapped her hard across the face in response. You heartless witch! How much filth have you kept hidden from me? Queen Alicia cradled her cheek in shock, frozen in place. You hit me? Over some low-born woman? Have you forgotten who helped you seize the throne? The crash of a vase shattering by her feet broke off her words. Asher's face was cold as ice. Back when he first ascended the throne, he found Violet too distant, unlike Alicia, who seemed warm, considerate. But now, you think you're so important? You and the Chancellor's family were nothing but stepping stones for me to hold my power. And yet I'm the Empress now, the highest woman in the land. Queen Alicia's face twisted with fury. She forgot all manners, jabbing a finger at him, shouting. Wasn't it you who begged my father for support, forced Violet to give up her place? You made me Empress. Violet's dead now. No one left to recall your pathetic past. Why act like you ever loved her? Her words tore open the dirty, once-hidden truths in front of everyone. Asher's body shook with rage. Shut your mouth! Queen Alicia glared at him, tears of hate in her eyes, and just kept on going like something snapped. You want to get rid of me? Fine. But Violet and Damien are dead. The only child left carrying your blood is the one inside me. I'll kill you. Something broke inside Asher. He lunged, pinning Queen Alicia to the ground, and punched her with everything he had. The palace servants trembled in a corner, pleading through tears for him to stop. Her screams pierced through the elegant, delicate halls like knives. Under the clear moonlight, the gentle jingle of camel bells rang out. It had been 15 days since we left the palace. Damien and I led our caravan through the endless desert, our path familiar to me like the lines on my palm. We'd helped a number of lost traders along the way, and soon the word had spread. Everyone now called me Violet, with a mix of respect and curiosity in their eyes whenever we crossed paths. Violet, you're a woman traveling with a child across the desert. Aren't you scared? I grinned, lifting my eyebrows lazily with the confidence that only someone raised in the wild could have. I've got a blade and a camel. What else do I need to live out here? Damien tilted his chin up proudly beside me. She's not alone. I'm here too. I'll protect her. The traders behind us chuckled and praised Damien while chatting about the news from Chang'an. Have you heard? The new emperor's lost his mind over a palace maid. Jeep's about to depose the Empress. Yeah, but it's all over now. Heard that shameless girl got burned alive with her kid. Serves her right. Born low, died low. Someone like that was never meant for the palace. Damien's smile vanished slowly. I glanced over at him, worried. He turned and looked right back at me. Mother, don't listen to them. Our place is where we choose to stand. I reached over and ruffled his hair. Damien's right. We know who we are. What others say doesn't matter. That trade route brought in good silver this time. Following old memories, I brought Damien back to our abandoned tribe. That small oasis hit me like a wave, so familiar it made me tremble. Mother, look, real eagles! Flags made of animal hide fluttered in the wind, and eagles circled high in the sky. Our camels stopped at the edge of the sands, but I couldn't bring myself to take the first step. "Who's that coming?" Some half-naked boys watched us from a distance. Their faces looked new, but there was something in them that pulled at old memories. "It's Auntie! It's Aunt Violet!" They scattered and ran off, soon returning with a handful of strong, broad-shouldered men. "My sister!" A voice I hadn't heard in over a decade called out. His red-rimmed eyes told me everything. How they had waited, how much they had missed me. Back then, there was no food or water in the tribe, so I sold myself to a passing merchant from Chang'an. After that day, I became just another unnoticed maid sweeping halls in the palace. Over the years, I never dared hope anyone would still remember me. My eldest brother pulled me into the felt tent. Right beneath our parents' memorial tablets was a drawing of me as a child. "May, you brought back meat and water, so father and mother had this made, afraid we'd forget what you looked like. We've stayed here all these years, didn't want you to forget the way home." So someone had been waiting for me this whole time? All 6 of my brothers sat around a fire with me, all talking over each other, full of questions about my life. "Where's the child's father?" "In Chang'an." Damien sat quietly beside me. My eldest brother let out a long sigh. "Father always said the tribe should be yours to lead one day." I didn't turn it down. The dozens of camels we brought back would be enough to support the whole tribe. My family treated me like I'd never left, as if I was the most precious person in the world. We danced and sang by the bonfire that night. The wind carried those songs, soft and long, all the way to Chang'an. Asher stared at the painting I had once sold, eyes fixed like it was something he'd lost and finally gotten back. "Go find out. Violet and Damien have to still be alive." When Queen Alicia heard that, she bit her lips so hard it bled. How dare that lowly woman show her face again? Asher almost struck her in a rage, but held back for the child's sake. Only my child deserves to be named Crown Prince. Wounded, she dragged herself to Asher. "If you declare my child as Crown Prince, I'll tell you where Violet is." Asher looked at her like she was something filthy stuck to his shoe. "You disgust me. You're not even worthy to touch Violet's feet. That child of yours is just as dirty. He'll never be my crown prince." Hatred clouded Queen Alicia's eyes. "We didn't seem disgusted when you were in my bed every night. Tell me, were you using me from the start? Or did you think Violet would never escape your golden cage? It was you, who left her with no way out." Asher broke down. "Enough, not another word." Queen Alicia laughed like a mad woman. When the official decree naming the crown prince was made public, Asher also led an expedition into the desert to search for Violet. "May, there's a bunch of outsiders asking for you." When my brother came in, I was teaching Damien to read. Probably some merchants passing through. I smiled and went out, but the moment I saw Asher, my expression froze. "Violet, how could you just leave like that without saying a word?" As soon as Asher stepped forward, my brother shoved him hard to the ground. "Who the hell are you, touching my sister like that?" "Your sister?" Asher looked surprised when he saw how much Dage and I resembled each other. "I never heard you had an older brother." Once word got out, all my brothers rushed over. They looked ready to fight, but I quickly stopped them. "He's Damien's father." The whole place went quiet. Damien came and stood behind me, eyeing Asher with a mix of fear and distance. "Come here, son." Damien just stared without moving. Asher's smile looked strained, obviously forcing it. "I've missed both of you. I came to take you home. Let's return to Chang'an, all right?" Damien shook his head firmly. "I don't want to." Asher's smile cracked, irritation flashing in his eyes. "Why not? What's there to love in this poor desert? Don't insult our home. This place is 100 times better than your palace. Damien doesn't want his mother to live under someone else's thumb again." My brothers, realizing who Asher really was, glanced at me with guilt and heartache. My sister was born here. This has always been her home. Dage's words pushed Asher over the edge. All the lands under heaven belong to the Emperor. If you won't go back with me today, I'll wipe this place clean. Let's see how long you stay stubborn then. I looked him straight in the eyes, nothing but disappointment in my gaze. Yes, you're Emperor. You can kill whoever you want. But my heart? You're not in it anymore. Want me to rip it open and show you? Asher stared at me, stunned. The Violet he knew would never speak to him like this. I know I messed up. Can't you just? No. I cut him off without a hint of hesitation and shattered whatever hope he was clinging to. Asher, when you took the throne, you kept me and Damien hidden away like shameful secrets. Don't tell me I never gave you a chance. You demoted me, gave Alicia the title of Empress, and couldn't even be bothered to grant me a consort's rank. Don't say I didn't give you a chance. Damien was on the brink of death. I was humiliated by Queen Alicia, and everything that happened in the palace. Was that me not giving you a chance too? Asher's hands clenched into fists. He was trembling all over, barely keeping it together. But I've always had you in my heart. Only you. I gave a small laugh, calm and almost relieved. From the day I faked my death and left the palace, you stopped being my husband, and Damien stopped having a father. 10 years. I had stood by Asher's side for 10 years. I'd loved him, respected him, yet I had never spoken such cold final words until now. My brothers quietly stepped in, standing protectively behind me. Asher's eyes were wild now, desperation spilling out like a dam broken. I'll make you Empress again. Damien will be crown prince, I swear. I can kill Alicia if that's what you want. Take her child, raise him as your own. Violet, please, don't leave me again. 10 years ago, I gave a starving, sick Asher a bowl of plain porridge no one else would. Back then, as a boy, he had cried and begged me too. Please don't go. Can't you stay with me? I stepped out from behind my brother and came to stand in front of him. My eyes were firm, my voice steady. Asher, when I saved you back then, it wasn't because I wanted you to owe me. You said you had feelings for me. That's the only reason I stayed in the palace. I was already someone worth something. If I hadn't met you, I'd be living an even freer, happier life. Asher covered his face, crushed. Maybe I had cared for him too much. Enough to let him grow up into someone this selfish, this narrow-minded. At least now, I've finally seen it clearly. When he realized there was no way to win me or Damien back, Asher seemed to wither all at once, like something in him broke. Violet, I wronged you. I deserve your hate. To make things right, the throne will be Damien's someday. I don't want your throne. Damien cut him off, standing straight and firm. Mother gave me a camel, and that's way better than ending up like you. Damien's words hit Asher like a blade straight to the chest, shattering any hope he had left. Asher left without a sound. After a strong gust of wind, not even a trace of his steps remained in the sand. Damien looked at me seriously and asked, "Mother, do you ever think about father?" I shook my head lightly. I had no regrets when it came to Asher. My life should have moved on long ago. From now on, the desert wind won't touch you. I'll be here to shield you. Thankfully, Damien was nothing like his father. The tribe's totems crossed the endless dunes, and I slowly became the legendary woman of the desert. I thought there would never be any connection between me and Asher again. But then some merchants from the capital brought surprising news. Did you hear? The emperor insisted on stripping the empress's title, and she couldn't take it. So she threw herself into the lake and ended up giving birth early. No wonder they say being close to the emperor is like walking on a tightrope. She hadn't even been empress for long before being cast aside. Right? Life's unpredictable. Word is, the little princess born to Queen Alicia was sent to live with the royal clan. Nobody was there to raise her. I didn't say a word. I just looked up at the thin crescent moon above. The night Damien and I fled the capital in chaos, the moon looked exactly like this. What a shame. For all her careful planning, Queen Alicia was left with nothing but a shattered dream. Was that her punishment? Whether it was or not, had nothing to do with me anymore. I just wanted a quiet life with my son. Years passed, and more news came from the capital. They said Queen Alicia had completely lost her mind after being thrown into the cold palace. She attacked the emperor with a knife, but failed. Locked up, tortured endlessly. As for Emperor Asher, ever since Alicia stabbed his kidney, he couldn't go a day without coughing fits. Inside his chambers still hung a portrait of that maid, and every single day, drunk beyond recognition, he clung to it like a ghost staring at the past. In just a few short years, his body had wasted away like a withered tree. Still, Asher ignored the minister's protests and went ahead with executing Queen Alicia's father. Not only that, he exiled the entire prime minister's household, forcing them into servitude in the desert. Maybe Alicia was just too heartbroken, or maybe she couldn't bear the humiliation. But one stormy night, she escaped the cold palace in secret. Under the clash of thunder and pouring rain, she drove a dagger straight into Asher's heart. Then, without hesitation, she yanked it out and plunged it into her own chest. "Your Majesty, I told you, only my child deserves to be crown prince. Your Majesty, Violet may no longer want you, but even in death, I still choose to stay by your side. Your Majesty, before I die, would you at least look at me one last time?" Her voice was trembling with desperation, eyes full of pleading. But Asher lay there with his eyes tightly shut, refusing to spare her even a glance. When I heard news of the late emperor's death, I went to ask Damien, "Do you want to go back to Chang'an and see him off?" After all, when Damien was young, Asher had once been a caring, attentive father. He stayed quiet for a long time before finally speaking. "Father was a selfish man. He ruined your life, Mother, Queen Alicia's life, and that little sister I never even got to meet. His death isn't something to be pitied." His words made me feel a rare sense of comfort. Damien might look like Asher, but his heart was nothing like his. He was open, kind, and knew clearly who to love and hate. Asher was blinded by power, always blaming others for his mistakes. His end, well, it felt like justice finally caught up to him. Chang'an might be bracing for the next battle over the throne, but out here in the desert, the camel bells keep ringing, and my story goes on.